Woo! Halloween edition. Orange and blue today, presented by Champ Honda. Let's count this down.
You know what's going to be missing from this?
What's going to be missing?
The number of trades made by the Broncos today.
Oh, because we don't get a zero.
Right. It stops at 1.
Okay. 1.
Singular sensation.
I wonder if this can rock music is something that our Halloween costumes would listen to. You know, it's a little rocky. This sounds like the corporate one, though, right?
This is
when they get bought out by the corporate company.
Yeah, it does. Like when all of a sudden the video reverb effect becomes perfect instead of just off kilter and all that. And
right.
If you see our there we go.
Here we are, everybody. Party on. Party on, Garth. It is Orange and Blue today. Presented by Champ Honda. It is Wayne's World. Broncos World.
Party time. Excellent.
Party on, Wayne, and party on, Garth.
I guess.
You know what?
That's how he reacts, like when you have that when they do the corporate show and they're in the studio. Okay, I guess.
I should have had some.
I'm having a good time.
I should have had some blank cue cards and then been like this. You know what I mean? Like, interesting. So anyway, yeah, it's Halloween, man. It's Halloween. I'm sure everyone's gonna get a kick out of seeing Andrew Mason in the wig, and me just putting on a hat and shaving, I guess.
And shaving. That is honestly, we had our staff meeting over Microsoft Teams today. And honestly, when I saw you, Cease, I was shocked. And I asked you about an hour later, like, how long is it going to take to grow that back? See, I admire also your commitment to going for the full costume. I'm not shaving this. This is it. I can't do that. It's, I have reasons why I can't do that. So it had to stay.
Well, we look close, man. We look good. We look like the dynamic duo, Wayne and Garth.
Maybe what I should have done.
Garth?
Yeah, I was gonna say what I could have done. I went with the Garth flannel,
and
a t-shirt. What I could have done is the scene when he's when they're lampooning corporate sponsorships and he's wearing like the sweats and the hat and all that. Everything.
Doesn't he have a pipe too? One of the times when he's smoking a pipe and he's like, debonair. That was a dream sequence, right?
That was Wayne's. Wasn't that Wayne's? That was Wayne's World 2.
Was that Wayne's World 2? Okay.
After he finally loses his V card.
My woman loves me in Cologne.
Yeah, in the first Wayne's World, I think he don't really get debonair like. But yeah, the second one's like, oh, I will party on like that. That sort of like he's not. Yes. Yeah. The first one. It's he's just pretty helpful. Like, Wayne says, "Hey, I can't take any more of a headache." Oh, the credential. Backstage with Alice Cooper. Thank you.
Right. Oh,
Milwaukee, which is Algonquin for the good land.
Mm-hmm. The good land, the good times here in Orange and Blue today.
The only major American city to have ever elected 3 socialist mayors. Does this guy know how to party or what?
Right. Oh, we could do it all day. We probably will. We'll do the Scooby-Doo ending here coming up at the end of the show, but it is Orange and Blue today. No trades for the Broncos, Mace. After the Chiefs game, was this a reaction in the Chiefs game, or was this kind of the plan all along? Don't trade anyone unless you get a good deal.
I think how you define a good deal subconsciously changes based on how you feel after the Chiefs game. So I think it is fair to say that after that game and then looking over the horizon, we talked about this yesterday. After the Buffalo game, you've got Minnesota without Kirk Cousins, Cleveland probably without Sean Watson. You've got Houston, which is shaky. You still have 2 games with the Chargers, who are 3-4. You got the Patriots. You have the Raiders. I mean, realistically, of the last 9 games on the schedule, the only ones you say, okay, those are likely losses are at Buffalo and at Detroit, which would bring you to 7. Now, you've got to run the table on the rest of them, and that's tough. You don't have much, if any, margin for error on the rest of them. But you look at the defense allowing 15 points a game the last 3 weeks. I think Sean Payton felt, okay, let's keep turning the page here and see what this novel reveals the rest of the way.
Right. And nobody blew them away. Like, that's the thing. If someone would have come at them with a second rounder for Jerry Jeudy, something like that, that complicates the conversation. Like, they're not going to give players away. And injuries happen. We may still yet see more of Marvin Mims. If someone gets banged up, that's the way this league works. So it may discourage some Broncos fans out there. But here's the thing, Mace, and I don't want to get too far ahead because we could definitely do that. Like, they can still trade guys before the draft. Just because they didn't trade them now doesn't mean they won't be traded.
They just don't have as much use to the team getting them because it's only going to be potentially next season rather than also part of this season as well. The other thing is with some of these players, I'll just give you an example here. Garrett Bowles, right? Now, Bowles is playing well. Have you decided whether to bring him back or not for next year? And if you do bring him back, it's almost certainly going to be a restructure on his contract. If you're not going to bring him back, why wouldn't you trade him now and get some value rather than just cutting him and get no value? Well, the reason why you wouldn't is there's 9 more games worth of value that you're extracting from him. But I'll say this, and I do wonder if it's fair to ask if the Broncos maybe overvalued their players a little bit. This is something we've seen, for example, from the Colorado Rockies at not this year's trade deadline. I thought they did very well at this year's trade deadline. But in past years, I mean, if you turn back the clock about a decade, year after year, there were rumblings of trading Troy Tulowitzki, their superlative shortstop. By the time it happened, they got pennies on the dollar relative to what they could have gotten a couple of years earlier when he had more time left on his contract. And that's something that comes into play as well. Do you overvalue to the point where eventually when you make a deal, you're not getting what you could have gotten otherwise? And also on Jerry Jeudy, if you traded him now, we should be trading him when his value is creeping back up, or has he not done enough to recover the value just yet? Maybe the point of one of the things about the rest of the season is seeing where Jerry Jeudy goes. And if he flourishes, but you have Marvin Mims in reserve, you say, okay, you maybe make that trade in the offseason, even though by then he'll only be 1 year to the team he's going to based on that 5th-year option.
Well, and I'll bring up something, Mace, because Jedi Techniques here in the chat room brings up Lloyd Cushenberry, who has improved as the season went along. The first month of the year, we could easily say Lloyd was the 5th out of 5 offensive lineman in terms of performance. He's improved. I don't know. He might still be 5, but he's improved. Garrett Bowles, he's got some improvement to his game. Mike McGlinchey, yes, there's improvement there. And Jerry Jeudy, as cantankerous as he may be and confounding as he may be for fans out there, there's a chance that he improves going forward, and the Broncos are going to see if he can do that.
Yeah. You could say he improved on Sunday. I thought that was probably his best game of the season so far. Maybe he continues improving, especially as you see more attention given to Courtland Sutton on the other side because of how prolific he's been, especially in the red zone. So there could be some opportunities there. But I will say this. If the Broncos emphasize the run, those opportunities are going to be somewhat limited. I don't know if you're looking at Jerry Jeudy in the last 9 games of the season racking up 700 or 800 yards in those games just because you may be running the ball a heck of a lot more often.
Right. Okay, right. The Broncos did not move on from even a guy like Justin Simmons because this defense has improved. You're getting used to the long hair, aren't you?
No. It itches.
It does.
It's like a new pair of underwear. At first it's constrictive, then it becomes a part of you. I gotta
See,
go.
what we should do is Mel brings up the game on. Game on. Like every year, I want to do this show forever and ever and ever. And one thing, Mace, and we've said this before, like you and I have always wanted to do a show together. Now we have for just a little over a year. And it's like every Halloween, we should do like a different scene from Wayne's World. I don't know if that is good for Wayne because Wayne kind of always wears the same thing, except for the hockey gear, right? And then the game on part. Game on.
Then we have to go get a couple of Blackhawks sweaters, which isn't cheap.
Would you be allowed to do that if you consider you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan?
I could live with it for a costume. The problem is the cost of it. Those hockey jerseys aren't cheap. It's the problem.
I'm basically cheap. I got a jersey guy. Yeah, he can get them from places of unknown.
Oh, are those
origins.
like the knockoff ones from China where the numbers fall off after
them once? But if it's for a costume, like, hey, it's all good, right?
I suppose so. I mean, it's like people only do these things just because they can get paid. That's really sad.
Oh, little, yellow, and different. No offensive players. Yeah. Well, if I had Nuprin, I would have had Nuprin. But I don't think they make Nuprin anymore, do they?
I don't think so either. Didn't Nuprin lose the pain reliever wars to like Advil and
Advil, I think. Yeah.
And Aleve, which is 24 hours. It lasts. It makes your liver bleed. No, it doesn't. I'm just joking.
Right. Of course. There we have it. No defensive players. Like offense, we knew it was going to be Judy or Sutton, right? And we'll see if Sutton continues to play in a great clip and show that incredible heart that he has. I did get some suggestions from people like they should trade Russell. No one's going to trade for Russell Wilson. We got plenty to talk about. Russ is getting his own show, by the way. Just a programming alert this week. I don't know what day, Mace. We're going to do a Russell Wilson, like, what does this mean for Russ going forward? So that's coming up. But, like, offensively, it was basically Corton or Judy is who we thought might be traded away. And that didn't happen either. Neither one.
Yeah. And this may be the overvaluing thing. But, again, wide receivers, I've said it before, I'll say it again, wide receivers are not hard to find. So that does not help your cause when trying to trade for a when trying to trade away a wide receiver. And the other thing is, which team was most likely to be looking for wide receivers? Unfortunately for the Broncos, it was the one right there in their division, the Kansas City Chiefs, who, by the way, did not trade for a wide receiver. So...
And the wide receivers that did move, because Donovan Peoples-Jones goes to the Lions, correct me if I'm wrong, that was just a late-round pick swap. But the Michigan Wolverine goes back to Michigan now from the Browns, who had fallen out of favor hard with. Corey brings it up here in the chat room, though, and then we had another comment in the chat room as well about, here's from Mark. Well, they should have added a weapon. So they weren't sellers, Mace, and we'll get to the defense a little bit, but they weren't buyers either. So is that curious? Like you just stand pat with what you have?
Well, the problem with buying is you don't have a second round pick next year, right? Now you've got a reasonable complement of picks, and how they've gotten there is very funky because they've made a bunch of deals. The George Payton special of, you have a trade involving a veteran and there's a swap of a 7th round pick and a 6th round pick. But here's what the Broncos have right now, okay, for next year. 1st round pick. They don't have their 2nd round pick. That's the Sean Payton trade. They have their own 3rd round pick. They don't have the 3rd round pick from New Orleans anymore, part of the Sean Payton trade, because they traded that to move up for Riley Moss back in the spring. They don't have their round 4 pick. That was the Jacob Martin trade last year. But they have Miami's 4th round pick. That was the Bradley Chubb trade. They have their own round 5 pick. They have the Jets round 5 pick. Again, Jacob Martin trade. It was 4th and 5th round picks involved in that. They traded their own round 6 pick for Kenny Young. They got a round 6 from San Francisco. So that round 6 pick they traded. And then they get the 49ers round 6 pick, but that's going to be a low pick. And then they have the Rams 7th round pick from that aforementioned Kenny Young deal, but they don't have their own 7th round pick because of the Randy Gregory trade. So basically the Broncos are sitting on 7 picks, a 1, a 3, a 4, 2 5s, a 6, and a 7. But losing that too, I know there are people talking about Chase Young. With what?
Where would he?
With what?
And where would he fit?
Yeah, I mean,
he's awesome. He's fantastic. But would they give up a second rounder? Is that right?
yeah. Chase Young, Montez Sweat was a second rounder too, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the Bears needed him. The Bears only have 10 sacks on the season as a team. It's week 9. They're averaging like a sack a game.
And the Bears can afford to do that because they've got extra capital at the top because of the trade they made with Carolina last year. So they can look at that second round pick and say, all right, we're good. Now, the step for the Bears is you have to make sure Montez Sweat gets a long-term deal. I can't imagine Chicago would make that deal without a plan to give him a long-term contract, but who knows, right? I mean, that Chase Claypool trade last year, second-round pick involved, didn't work out. But the point is the Bears can make that kind of deal because they have an excess of draft capital. The Broncos do not. So in theory, these things sound well and good, but what? You have a non-existent second-round pick. So what are you going to do? Give up your second rounder next year and then in 25 and then a third rounder in 24? Then all of a sudden your only pick is round 1. Or you're giving up a first rounder next year? Well, you better not do that. That'd be stupid.
Right.
So the Broncos weren't really in position to be buyers, even though they, Sean Payton said they'd listen, they'd think about it. And if there was an opportunity to be a buyer, they would, consider it. But draft capital wise, Broncos weren't in position to buy.
Right. And be like credit card debt, right? Yeah, they could have done it. They'd be paying for it well into the future, though. So, and I know fans are upset. I'm seeing it in the chat room like, okay, they didn't sell anybody, but they didn't buy anybody. They're standing pat. And again, maybe playing players in the second half of the season, maybe they push for the playoffs. Maybe they don't, Mace, but they almost have a reserve of players. You mentioned Riley Moss. I'll bring up J.L. Skinner a million times, Thomas and Coombe a million times. Like, there's some players we haven't yet seen that could be parts of the future that maybe it's almost like adding a player. Like, well, we weren't playing Thomas and Coombe, but now we are because we had to or whatever. So we might see more from players that y'all haven't seen yet, but might actually work into this team's future plans.
You might. But that you would have had to trade players, or just you're looking at injuries before they get an opportunity. Shoot, there have been injuries involved at safety, and J.L. Skinner still didn't get an opportunity. So that's, what's up with that, right? I mean, there must be something really amiss with J.L. Skinner in terms of how he's picking up the defense,
right?
And not even having a role on special teams as well. I mean, at least Riley Moss, except for the Packers game, Riley Moss is playing on special teams. But J.L. Skinner isn't doing that.
Yeah, not doing that. We'll see what happens there. And then, in a way, and you saw after the victory over the Chiefs, you saw Brandon McManus tweeting at Justin Simmons. I believe Von Miller did as well, right? Where he congratulated Justin Simmons on beating the Chiefs. It's part of me, this is going to sound bad, so bear with me. Part of me wanted Justin Simmons to be traded so he could go compete for a Super Bowl. And that didn't happen. That didn't come to fruition. So he's here, and he'll push for a postseason berth with this team. As remarkable as that may seem to you, that's what this team is setting up to do now with Justin Simmons staying. And, Justin Simmons, PJ Locke, it's been a nice combination the last couple of games.
Yeah, I'm not sure Kareem Jackson gets his job back when he comes back from suspension.
Right.
We'll see. Oh, God. It's the problem with this thing. How do people do long hair that, gets in the way? I mean, I can't. I can't even. Yeah, I mean, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's messy. It's messy.
I was trying to talk, and there was a strand of fake wig hair.
See, this reminds me of the Bugs Bunny where I think it was like a train wrecked, and then there was these hats floating down, and so a hat would land on Bugs, and he would act differently based on whatever hat. Because I find myself doing the Mike Myers, more and more. Like, just wearing the hat makes you act like that. I know what we'll do for your hair, Mace. I'll bring over a suck cut, and we'll film it. It's
sucking my will to live for the humanity.
Turn it off! Turn it off!
Well,
who are these kids?
It
That's
sucks
your audience.
as it cuts. Yeah.
Right.
This is two chimps on a Davenport in a basement.
Well, it certainly does suck.
I got spots on the love boat, but this. No,
such a dated reference after dated reference. But
I mean, if you are Generation X, you get this. If you are under the age of, I'd say probably you've probably got to be at least 30, 36
35,
years old.
Yeah.
Because you might have picked it up if you were a little kid and and you were 10 years old when it came out, right? Or 5 or 6 years old when it came out. But I'd say if you're older than 36, this is just over, over your head. This is, this is old stuff. But I do remember seeing Wayne's World in the theater. I'll admit that.
Yeah. I think I went on a date to see Wayne's World in the theater.
Oh my gosh.
I'm older than you, Mace. But now, for the first time in a long time, I have better hair than you on today's show.
Ooh! You're saying I have? You're saying I have?
I have the better hair today. Usually, you have the better hair because it's nice and propped up, right? A little product, right?
I've had some image consultation.
Okay.
I've gotten a little. I've had a little work that has gone on, and that's all right. The older you get, you have to do a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is. So you have to do a little bit more maintenance to keep looking, maybe not young and spry, but just presentable, right?
Right. That's
this
what you
is not presentable, but this is Halloween. Nobody cares. I mean, look, I just had ESPN on before I sat down and do this show, and you have Woody Page dressed like Taylor Swift or attempting to dress like Taylor Swift. Okay.
Ooh.
So
it's gonna be a tough pull for Woody.
This is not the most absurd thing you're going to see today. Hey, hi, Mom. Yeah, it's my mom chiming in.
Oh, there we go. Mama Mace checking in.
Wow, that's so cool.
That is cool. We're right here for you. And the trade deadline has passed. And they didn't do anything, man. They didn't do anything.
When you woke up this morning, what did you think would happen? Because when I woke up, I thought this is gonna be a quiet day.
Yeah, I thought it would be a big nothing burger, and it's like, and for me, Mace, and maybe I'm totally wrong, but the Chiefs game, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, unless someone blows them away, as much as, and this maybe make me sound bad, like I wanted Jerry Jeudy traded. I love Marvin Mims, want to see more of him. Jeudy, I'm not a fan of Jerry Jeudy. Grandma would always say, I just don't like his way. But like, unless someone blew him away, they weren't going to trade Jeudy. So he's here, man. He's here.
Yeah, and he's probably here next year too.
Yep.
By the way, actually, you know who else you look a little bit like if you take off the hat? But like, I don't know. Okay, it was something about the way the lanyard looked like it was coming down from your hair. You look kind of like Willie Nelson. You're always on my mind. Gotta sing through your nose.
Right.
You're always on my mind.
Willie Nelson, I think my buddy David Smock said one time I look like Geddy Lee, and I was like, oof, Geddy Lee is ugly. Ugly. You could always say I look like Keanu. That would make me feel good. But either way. We'll keep trying, Mace. We'll keep trying. And Kombucha Girl says, maybe. No.
This itches. This itches. I wonder if Dana Carvey's wig itches. They probably got him a real, a nicer wig.
A real nice one. Yeah, real nice one. Didn't they reunite for a Super Bowl commercial on Wayne's World?
I think they did. Yeah. Because
Mike Myers doesn't do a lot anymore.
Well, he kind of made his money, right? I mean,
I think Love Guru, they say the Love Guru kind of messed with him because it was so poorly received.
Yeah. But I mean, okay, he had Wayne's World, he had Austin Powers, and he had Shrek. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd say Love Guru probably did mess with him a little bit, but you know what? You have those three things, those three, characters, universes, whatever. You're good. You did very well. I was always surprised that Dana Carvey's film career never really took off. He did, I think, remember the movie Opportunity Knocks? Probably very.
I went on a date to see that one too because I love Dana Carvey.
Wow, yeah, that was the only film vehicle with him as a leading man.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really pan out. And then he did the Wayne's World movies, and after that, there was a show that failed, right? Did he do a sketch comedy primetime show? I believe.
I thought he had his own show, right? Like the Dana Carvey show.
Like the Dana Carvey show.
Yeah.
And then it's been pretty quiet for him. I mean, he lives on in old sketches. He's still with us.
Does some stand up. He's got a Netflix stand up special.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think part of it is if your game is impressions, it doesn't necessarily translate to actual, leading actor status, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he nailed him. When you think of Dana Carvey's impression, one that goes through my mind is the Tom Brokaw one, the immortal sketch where, and he did this. I think this was when he was a guest host on SNL, and I think he also did it on the Dana Carvey show as well. I think he did it twice, where he's Tom Brokaw putting the death reports of Gerald Ford in the can, and it's all these increasingly absurd things like Gerald Ford was eaten by a circus line. Gerald Ford was mauled by a circus line at a convenience store. A fireball engulfed France today, and Gerald Ford is dead. And the sad part was when Gerald Ford actually died in 2006, there was a generation of us who were hearing these things in their head.
Right. Right.
Gerald Ford was chopped into little bits by the propeller of a plane.
If I think Dana Carvey, I think of his W or H.W. Bush or Senior.
He did H.W.
Joe Ellis's uncle, right? Yeah.
He did Ross Perot as well.
Ross Perot was good. Yeah. Bill Clinton was good, right?
No, Bill Clinton was Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman, right. You got to watch his Netflix special though. It's fairly recent. Bunch of flipping BS. I won't spoil it, and I can't say that anyway on the air. But it's all the old impressions. It's like, okay, for a certain generation of us, it's really cool. But do you know, before we wrap up, Mace, because we're completely off the rails today, which is fine. Did you know who originally was cast as Shrek? And there's also footage of him talking over some rough animation. Do you know who it was?
I do not know.
Chris Farley.
No kidding.
Imagine, and look it up on YouTube, or I'll send you the link. Imagine if Shrek was Chris Farley.
And let me get he didn't turn it down. When he died, they had to recast.
Yes, I believe so.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gosh.
The more you know.
Dun 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 dun. Can you believe it'll be 26 years this December since Chris Farley passed?
Gone too soon, man.
Yeah.
Gone too soon.
Matt Foley. With these glasses, I could do the Matt Foley.
You could do Matt Foley for sure, right?
Dad, I can't see too good. Is that Bill Shake? I gotta get. Hang on, I gotta get into character here a little bit. Hang on. Well, you're gonna find out as you get older that you're not gonna amount to jack squat. Gonna eat a steady diet of government cheese and live in a van down by the river.
Oh boy, we could keep it up all day. We could keep it up.
Oh yes.
I just want a photo shoot of stepbrothers, of you and me dressed up like stepbrothers, and then I want to recreate that photo shoot. You and me.
Oh my god.
We'll make it happen.
Oh my gosh.
We'll make it happen.
Well, now we've got the stuff to do, but I said I'm not shaving this thing, so that's
it doesn't matter.
You had a greater commitment to the bit than I did, but I think my commitment's pretty good because this thing is itching like the dickens right now.
And Mace will never wear a wig again.
Until next Halloween.
Yeah. Mama Mace saw this. Shout out Mace's mom. But yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah. Glad she saw it.
That's right. He's Andrew Mason. Follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecilamy. Help us out. Do the YouTube things. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. And we appreciate you all. Thanks much. Have a safe and happy Halloween. Stay tuned. And would you all please stay frosty?